Hello, good evening. How you doing? My name's Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and this is going to be a special fan cam show for the game which just finished at the Emirates. It finished Arsenal 3, West Bromwich Albion 1. A good enough victory for Arsenal, I guess, without too much pressure on us. And of course, the result of that is that unfortunately for them, West Bromwich Albion have been relegated, and Big Sam has finally suffered the fate that I'm sure many people have wanted him to suffer for quite a long time anyway. But this is going to be the fan cam show, so it's going to be going to get a couple of guests on as well as we go along. So stay tuned. Coming up the other side of this. Hello, good evening. It's Sunday, the 9th of May. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and we're going to be looking back on the victory that we just enjoyed, or just watched tonight against West Bromwich Albion. It was a decent enough Arsenal performance, I guess. West Brom had a go at it, didn't they? They needed a result to stay up, and as expected, they did come at us, cause us a few problems, especially early on in the game. Actually, they had a couple of good chances, didn't they? But we ended up settling down. We looked better in attack tonight. We seemed to move the ball quicker, pass the ball quicker in forward areas. Saka looked good, didn't he, at left back, got forward well, supplied the cross for the first goal for Smith Rowe. His first ever Premier League goal, actually, for Arsenal. Great moment for him. Good goal as well. He took it well, didn't he? A left foot volley from Saka's cross. And then very soon after that, Pepe scored a great goal as well, didn't he? Cutting in from that right-hand side and curling a shot into the top corner with his left foot. Probably a typical Nicolas Pepe goal in many ways. He hasn't done that enough, obviously, for Arsenal, but a great goal. So that was good. And then, as expected in the second half, West Brom, their Premier Division, their Premier League safety rested on it. So they came at us again, didn't they? They did get a goal back, a solo effort, wasn't it, from Pereira? Decent goal, actually. Ran about 40 yards with the ball and finished into the bottom corner. And then we maybe was hanging on a little bit. West Brom had a couple of chances to get the equaliser, didn't they? Which you could imagine the fallout from that if we'd thrown away a 2-goal lead against West Brom. But in the end, the last minute of normal time, that free kick from Willian curled into the top corner. His first goal for Arsenal as well, actually. So it was a good night for somebody, for a couple of players at least, get their first goal. And overall, I suppose we have to be reasonably satisfied with the performance. It is what it is, There was no pressure on us tonight, was there? It was quite an easy game, I suppose, in the end, for us. And we played well at times. Other times we looked a little bit shaky at the back. West Brom, you know what they are. They're a very direct team. We know what you're going to get with Big Sam, and they produced a typical Big Sam performance. But it's not been good enough for them this season, has it? And they are relegated back to the Championship. It's difficult to know what to make of it, actually. I'm excited to speak to the guests, actually, very soon, because to know what other people kind of made of it, really. Because, we played okay. We got the 3 points. We scored 3 goals. Our first win at home, actually, since the North London derby, which was all the way back beginning of April, wasn't it? So, or was it even March? A long time ago anyway. We haven't won at home. So it was nice to get a home win. And I say there were some good elements to the game, and there were some not so good elements to the game. The team lineup was a bit of a surprise. For example, Danny Ceballos was in the team. Is he going to be here next season? Probably not. Why are you starting him? If you watched my stream the other night, we were looking at what we thought the last 4 games, what we're looking to get out of it. And I think most of us were of the opinion that, the main thing that we wanted to get out of the last 4 games was a player that's going to be here next season and building something for the future. And I think that's what we were all kind of looking for, wasn't it? So for him to play someone like Danny Ceballos and even Willian, was, you're thinking, why not throw some of the younger players in, Aziz, Balogun. I know they played for the under-23s the other night, but put them on the bench. Do you know what I mean? And instead it was the same old in a lot of ways. Good to see Saka play at left back, but then it raises a question, doesn't it? Why didn't he play there the other night? He can still get forward. He had a great assist. He would have given us a lot more from that position than a half-fit Kieran Tierney did on Thursday. So, again, it maybe has asked more questions of Arteta than it's probably answered, if we're totally honest. But, I guess at the end of the day, we've won the game. I don't want to be too critical because we haven't won enough games recently. Shane's in the chat, how you doing, Shane? He says, hi, Richard, happy with a win. But I'm tired of Arteta lineups and tactics. Just want the season to be finished now. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, for me, I think mentally the season has finished. Perhaps for me, actually, as you're aware, I didn't end up doing a watch along on my channel. I did do a watch along at the women's game earlier, actually, which that was a 0-0 draw, not the greatest game, but it's always good to cover them. And I just feel as though mentally I'm just been drained from watching Arsenal this season. So in the end, I went on Scott's channel, the Red Cannon. I went on his watch along. We had a great chat actually about Arsenal. It was a good show that. I say some of you guys, Shane and Terry and people were in the chat as well. So it's nice to see you guys over there. And that was it was good to do that actually. Watch the game with a little bit more of a relaxed feel about it. It was good. I did enjoy that. So that was nice. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, yeah, I think we're all happy that we won the game. The first guest will be coming on in about 5 minutes, so I'll probably give my thoughts now, and then I can get their thoughts once they're here. So yeah, I mean, overall, it was good to get a win at home, but ultimately, it doesn't mean anything. We've gone up to 9th in the league, I think we are, and that's not really good enough, is it? With 3 games to play this season, we shouldn't be in that position. We've underperformed massively, and we flopped badly, didn't we, in the Europa League? In the semi-final over the last couple of weeks. So it's not been good enough. Massive changes are needed at the club from top to bottom. I did want to touch on the protests. I didn't see too much on it. It didn't look like there was that many people there. Certainly nowhere near what there was 2 weeks ago against Everton. But if you were there tonight, earlier on, let me know what you made of it all. Was it maybe busier than it came across? I say I haven't seen much. I wasn't sort of on YouTube earlier, so I didn't see anybody streaming from there. But looking at the pictures I saw on the TV, it didn't look like there was that many there in comparison to last time. I mean, are these protests going to make any difference long term? I'm not sure. But it's clear for me, I just said it on Scott's channel, that things need to change at the club from top to bottom. And until they start to change, we're not going to really go anywhere, are we? The club are going to be static a little bit, I think. And we're not really going to progress and get back to where we want to be, which is challenging again for the top 4, challenging for honours. And we've not really done that. Yes, we won the FA Cup last year, and of course that was great. But certainly in terms of the league now, we finished 8th last year. We're going to be around about then again, probably lower. 3 games to go. How many more points can we get from those games? Or potentially 9, I would say. Chelsea have maybe got bigger fish to fry, but they also want to finish in the top 4. Crystal Palace is a dead rubber for them, really. They're safe, just mid-table. We should be able to go and beat them. And then, obviously, Brighton, who are going to be safe now, probably, aren't they? By the look of it, it's only one more relegation place left. And it looks as though Fulham are going to get that. So, again, that's a game you could potentially look at winning. And if we won our last 3 games on top of this one, we may well finish 7th even. And that could be enough to get us in that Conference Europa thing, couldn't it? But I don't know. It's still not really good enough, is it, for Arsenal? It's not really good enough for the club to be where we have been in the league. I don't think. And I thought tonight's performance maybe kind of summed it up, really. Good at times in spells. Smith Rowe and Saka in particular really stood out again. And they've been the catalyst, haven't they? When they... Certainly Smith Rowe, when he first came into the side against Chelsea on Boxing Day, we were down in 15th place. We hadn't won for ages. And he was a spark on that particular day. Saka scored a great goal that day as well, if you remember. And again today, they were the spark, wasn't they? With that first goal, Saka set up Smith Rowe. And those two have been the most likely players for us, haven't they, actually, this season? And, we've got 2 young players there that we're relying on to give us the spark, I suppose, if you want to look at it like that. And, we should have more about us now, shouldn't we, as a club? We should be doing more than that. We should have more than that. And we haven't. And it's frustrating. And we're a long way off where we want to be. We definitely are. And changes have to be made, and I'm not saying that the manager or is the only issue that we've got, because clearly that's not the case, is it? We've got a lot more other issues than that at the club. It's quite obvious that there is, but I don't know. Something needs to change, doesn't it? There's something missing in this with the players on the pitch, and is it the tactics? Is it the coach? Is it the players themselves are just not good enough? I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. I think it's probably a little bit of all of it, actually. But until we start getting these changes done, until things start changing, we're not gonna unfortunately progress, are we? And I don't want us to be in the same situation now for another 2 or 3 years. I just don't. I really, really don't. It's. I don't like it when people think, Arsenal fans are entitled because we've seen great success, and we have. But to me, it's like, I don't know. We're a big club, and we should be competing, and we should be doing a lot better. We've had another comment in there from Dapper Goon. Says, "Good win. Think we get a battering on Wednesday, but I've enjoyed seeing Big Gob Allardyce relegated." Yes, I think we all were quite. We're secretly quite pleased that we've sent them down finally. It's the first time we've been relegated out of the Premier League, isn't it? Believe it or not, after all these years. So that's been quite good. I'm sure there'll be a few fans up and down the country that'll be quite happy to see him finally relegated. It was a job a bit too big for him in the end, wasn't it? But at least they gave it a go tonight. You've got to give them credit for that. They gave everything that they had to try to get the result. And, maybe on another night they might have got 2 or 3 goals, actually, because they had a few chances. They were a bit unfortunate at times. But we did get the victory, of course, that we needed, and that we definitely needed after the few weeks that we've had. But we have got a guest. First guest has arrived in. He's backstage at the moment. It's going to bring him on now. So he'll be coming up the other side of this. And it's Anthony. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Hey, all good, Rich. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, very well. Obviously, we have just beaten West Brom 3-1 at the Emirates. Of course, our first home win since the North London derby, actually, a long time ago. So we needed one. What did you first of all make of the team lineup when you saw it? Bearing in mind we've got very little to play for in the league. What did you make of the lineup?
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I tried to go into the game, and I said before, I said, you know what, I'm not going to get too hung up on anything tonight. I'm going to take it for what it is. Just the grand scheme of things, a kind of meaningless game. So I was sort of hoping he was going to treat it as maybe like an early preparation, sort of early pre-season type of game. Like, look at next season, try something out, something different, maybe tactically, maybe try a few youngsters. Then I seen the lineup, and I was a little bit disappointed. I've seen Bernd Leno in goal, and I kind of said, I don't really see the point in playing Bernd Leno. We've got to make a decision on Matt Ryan. Are we going to keep this guy at the end of the season? Because I think he's out of contract. So are we going to hang on to him? Or are we going to not? So, why not give him the minutes? I know there was a lot of people calling for the likes of Balogun and Miguel Aziz. I was the same. And then I thought about it, and I sort of said, well, the under-23 is playing on Friday night, and they had to get a result the other night to avoid relegation from the under-23 league. So, after thinking about it like that, it sort of made sense to me as to why you wouldn't play them again. Like, they wouldn't be 100% fit. And in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty important to keep our academy operating at the highest level possible. So, we couldn't afford to have the academy drop down a division. So, I guess it made a little bit of sense. I guess, look, Danny Ceballos, though, I'm kind of saying it's sort of, without being officially confirmed, everybody seems to be saying he's gone at the end of the season. So, why you're giving him minutes, I'm not too sure. But yeah, look, once I got over the initial lineup, I sort of said, I'm going to sit back. I'm just going to enjoy this game, kind of pressure-free. It didn't mean an awful lot. But if we could relegate Sam Allardyce, massive bonus, pick up 3 points, relegate Sam Allardyce, and we did it. So, I'm happy. I'm happy overall.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I suppose that's one of the good things to come out of it, isn't it? Getting Sam Allardyce down finally after all these years. Dapagoon in the chat, it's typical Arsenal. We were dominant, and then once we conceded, we went into panic mode. Yeah, we did a little bit in the second half when they scored. They could easily come back into it. Jonathan there says, "Hi, how you doing, Jonathan? Please give the show a like as well if you're enjoying it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as well." So in the end, then, I mean, you know, what I noticed tonight was certainly in the first half, we passed the ball a lot quicker in the attacking third of the pitch, didn't we? We got it forward quickly. None of this backwards, sideways rubbish. We got it forward, and it got us the first goal in particular. I mean, that was a really good goal, wasn't it? The Smith Rowe goal.
Yeah, look, the difference, I guess, in having an athletic, quick, mobile guy at left back. And again, look, hindsight is a beautiful thing. We can look back and say, first leg against Villarreal, you know, why didn't you play Saka at left back instead of Granit Xhaka? And again, the second leg, look, Granit Xhaka was in the team. He was due to play. And look, I don't think anybody was complaining. When he got the injury, we played Kieran Tierney. You said, okay, fair enough, Kieran Tierney. But you could see Kieran Tierney wasn't fully fit. And today, again, we were playing against weaker opposition than Villarreal. So, you know, I look at it and I say possibly it was a missed opportunity against Villarreal. But at the same time, yeah, you do have to take into account, you know, West Brom are not Villarreal. So I still would have liked us. I did say going back a couple of weeks ago, if we have to fill in the left back position, instead of taking Granit Xhaka out of the centre midfield, I would rather someone like Bukayo Saka, because I think we have enough options out on the wing. You know, Pepe, again, he wasn't overly in the game, but he pops up with these moments of brilliance as he did tonight. So yeah, I think looking at it now, it kind of confirmed for me tonight, yeah, Saka probably should have been the guy at left back, because he was very, very good in the first half, very dangerous. And you saw, you know, he assisted the first goal. And he linked quite well with Willian tonight. He made Willian look quite decent. And I'll give myself a pat on the back for this. So now I put out a good well over an hour ago. I said Willian is going to score tonight, and it could be due to the Jack Daniels that I'm sipping on, maybe getting to my head. But I said no, Willian is going to score tonight. So I'm happy with that. Just unfortunately didn't have any money on it, but we take the little victories where we get them.
No, I mean, it was. I mean, William actually had an okay game, didn't he? To be fair, but again, the opposition we have to look at. I mean, I actually thought. I don't know what you felt. I mean, I thought West Brom, obviously they needed a result. I thought they gave it everything. Actually, they caused us a few issues. Even before we scored, they had a couple of chances, didn't they? And then after they scored, they had a couple more. And it certainly they didn't make it easy for us, but you'd never have expected them to. And actually, it was kind of summed up our season in a lot of ways. You know, we struggled at times in that game. And other times we looked quite good when we moved the ball quickly. But I mean, I thought West Brom did all right, didn't they? Considering, you know, how much it meant to them, they gave it a go at least. Yeah,
well, look, they had to. You know, I guess it had to be expected. They had more to kind of fight for than we had. Look, had they even got the result here tonight, chances are they're probably still going down. But look, you know yourself, when you're in that position, you prolong it as long as you can. And Big Sam, whatever about the team, on a personal note, he would not want to go down, especially at the hands of Arsenal. You know, of all the teams to send him down, Arsenal will be bottom of the list for Big Sam. So, I was quite happy to see that, because I remember back in the days of Big Sam and Bolton and Arsene Wenger and that. So it was quite nice to see that. You know, I usually don't like to see people go down and get relegated, but Big Sam, I took a little bit of pleasure in that. I'm not going to lie. But look, it was to be expected that they were going to come out and come at us. I guess I was quite surprised by Arsenal's attitude, because again, going into a game with nothing to play for, you know, do you have that problem of psyching the team up for that game, especially when the opposition have something to play for? Exactly, where the head's going to be down, and because, you know, we feel sorry for ourselves because we got knocked out of the Europa League and whatever else. But no, look, the first half, I couldn't fault us. You know, I thought we went about it well. We contained them well. We kind of weathered the bit of a storm, and then we played our game and went 2-0 up by half time. The second half was a different story altogether, though. Typical Arsenal, you know, job is done at half time. Shut up shop and go to sleep. And of course, you saw what happened. West Brom came back into that game, and at one point that could have been 2-2.
Yeah. No, it could have been definitely, yeah. I mean, it was looking the more likely score actually at, for that sort of 10, 15 minutes. But after they scored, it was looking like it was going to be 2-2. And I think it would have been a real meltdown if we hadn't won that game from 2-0 up against a side like West Brom. So we did get the job done, I suppose, in the end. Jonathan in the chat there says, he says, good riddance to Big Fat Sam Allardyce. I think many people will echo those feelings, which is good. And Terry says, hi, Richard Anthony. Where have you been at to watch some posh Cockney channel all night? I'm sorry, Terry, I didn't do a watch along on this channel, and I know you was over on Scott's channel. That was good. It was good to see you in there as well. And the Dapper Gooner says Williams best game for the club, but I'd still sell him. I think we'd all go along with that. It's all very well playing. It's all very well having your best game at home to West Brom, isn't it? But you really want him to have good games against the big teams in the big games. Scoring a great free kick. How many free kicks has he taken in other games, big games at big moments, and they've gone straight into the wall or gone over the bar? So it's all very well doing it against West Brom, but it's certainly not enough to keep him for me. Tracy makes a good point actually there. He says, I think I prefer ESI in the middle over Odegaard. Yeah. Do you think we should waste a lot of our so-called big budget on Odegaard? I mean, that's a good point. I mean, Smith Rowe looks good in that position. He's a natural there, isn't he? I do quite like Odegaard. I think he's decent. I mean, do you think that we should maybe look at buying Odegaard, or would you just keep Smith Rowe in that position, maybe look at strengthening maybe a bit further back in midfield?
I was hoping initially when Odegaard came in, he was going to sort of be a backup to Smith Rowe and just add another option. I never wanted Odegaard to come in and take that position completely. Like, I completely understood Smith Rowe's still a young guy. Look, we can't burn him out, because I think up until kind of today, we've seen a bit of a different Bukayo Saka, but Bukayo Saka has looked quite tired over the last couple of weeks, and you can only depend so much on these young guys. I keep going back to, like, look what happened to Jack Wilshere. I think people forget Jack Wilshere's first season. I think he played 40 or 50 odd games his first season. And then after that, we couldn't keep him fit, So while these guys are still growing and developing, you do have to be careful. And so we had to have an option in a guy like Odegaard who was able to come in and take some of those minutes, especially Smith Rowe. He's had a bit of an injury record already. But long term, I would rather Smith Rowe was the guy long term. Like, I wouldn't like us to sign a guy that's going to come in and Smith Rowe is going to, pick up the odd bit of time here and there. I would like someone to come in and kind of pick up the minutes when Smith Rowe is not available. Odegaard, again, I think he's a perfectly capable player. If a reported fee of 40-50 million is the case, no, I would look elsewhere, because I don't think he's a 40-50 million pound player. And at the same time, he's not going to have a shortage of suitors for his signature already. And with us not having European football, all we really have to offer him is maybe the guarantee of he's going to get minutes in the team. And whether he believes in Arteta's project, that's going to be the difference, because we know before he signed for us, he had a list of clubs looking for his name, and it's going to be the case again. So if Real do decide to cash in on him, you're looking at maybe 40-50 million, and then he's saying to himself, well, another club is going to offer me possibly European football. So it might just come down to, it might not be an option for us, whether we want to keep him or not. It might be down to the player sort of saying, is it good for my development staying at this club? Do I believe in the project? Do I believe in the manager? Is the manager going to be here Christmas time next year? So he has a lot to think about at the end of the season when he goes back to Madrid. So I do think there's options out there. If you're willing to spend 40 or 50 million, I definitely think there's options out there. You could probably get a more established player for probably less money than that. Again, I like Buendia. I really like Buendia, and I think a lot of people are turning their nose up to Buendia because he's coming from Norwich and Odegaard is coming from Real Madrid, so automatically Odegaard is the better player,
Yeah.
But if you look at Buendia's stats, even the season Norwich got relegated, he was within the top 10 statistically for most of for most of the stats, and this was a team that went down. So look, if he was an option, I would definitely be looking at that, especially if you can get him a little bit cheaper. But look, if the option was on the table to take Odegaard even on another season-long loan, because I think it's very hard to judge a player on a 6-month loan period I don't think you get to see the best of them. And I think that's kind of what happened with Danny Ceballos. We didn't really see much of him for the first 6 months, and then he kind of came into himself a little bit for the final 6 months of last year. But then we kept him again, and we've seen he hasn't developed, he hasn't kicked on. And I wouldn't like that to happen with Odegaard, especially we're working off of potentially a pretty small budget, whatever funds we can raise, because we're being told we're getting investment from the Cronkies. But look, we've heard this before, so look, I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing. So yeah, I just think we've got to be really, really clever about who we sign.
No, we have. Terry's actually put in the chat there. He says, I don't think he wants to stay anymore. Now he knows how bad we are. That's something like we said about not being in Europe. That's a possibility. Maybe he might not want us to come back next season. That's true. Dapagoon is there. Super Jack. Yeah, gutted we never saw his full potential. You know just how good he would have been. I'll never forget that Barcelona game in the Champions League when he absolutely ran that game, didn't he? It was at that time you looked at him and you thought he's going to be one of the greatest English midfield players ever. And
you know, at that age, he could have played in that Barca team. That's how good he looked.
Yeah, he did. And it was a shame in the end his injuries did get the better of him, unfortunately, and his career never quite went the way we all hoped it would. But I mean, you know, you mentioned obviously Jack Wilshere played a lot of games in his first season. So did Cesc Fabregas, you know. He played 46 games, I think, in his first season, and he managed to go on. And of course, what a great player he was. So I think with certain players it does, but I agree with you, because ESR's had injury issues already in his career, that by overplaying him, that's just going to aggravate the situation, and it could end up being another Jack situation, which we don't want. But ultimately, he's a good player, and we want him in the team. So it's a balance, isn't it? I suppose.
100%. I think as well, you kind of have to consider the style of player. Like if you had, for an example, an ESR or a Martinelli, I think those kind of all action, you know, they're constantly moving, they're constantly making runs, or they're constantly driving forward. You really have to protect these guys. And Wilshere in his early days was like that, because Wilshere actually came into the Arsenal team as a left winger and was moved into the centre. So, you know, he was a forward player, whereas Fabregas, don't get me wrong, Fabregas had a certain amount of pace to him, but he was that kind of player that he would kind of go in strides, you know, he would play his kind of central game, but we would go in strides. So I guess for a guy like that, it's slightly easier to kind of preserve yourself. But sometimes players are just quite unlucky. They just pick up the wrong injuries at the wrong time. And Wilshere was just very, very unfortunate.
No, he was, and it was a shame, because I say we all know how good he could have been, actually, and it was a shame. But yeah, I mean, obviously, in terms of tonight's performance and overall, I mean, it was again the young players. Obviously, Martinelli played through the middle tonight, didn't he? He didn't seem to get a lot of opportunities created. Maybe he's understanding the problem Aubameyang's had, actually playing through the middle. I mean, what did you make of his performance tonight?
Yeah, he was quiet. I was disappointed. I'm not really disappointed in him. I was disappointed for him because he wasn't really getting the service. But I think that's kind of highlighted a problem we've seen all season, because Lacazette used to get a lot of flack because his goal scoring record isn't the best. You know, you think of a centre forward and it's not amazing. But you look at his kind of game and how he's adapted his game, he drops very deep. And I think the reasoning behind that is because he knows he has to drop deep to receive the ball, to get himself involved in the game. You know, if you play Aubameyang up front, Aubameyang's not that kind of guy who's going to drop deep to receive the ball. Aubameyang wants the ball played to him so he can run onto the ball. I think Martinelli's very much in the same mould. And this is why I think you see these two guys playing out wide, because that's their game. You know, they want to receive the ball in front and run. So, unless you're willing to kind of drop back deep and pick the ball up, I think it's going to be quite difficult in the system that we play. Look, I wasn't when I seen the team sheet initially, I seen Martinelli in that, and I was kind of saying, who have we got playing up front? I was looking at the team, I was like, who's up front? And then I was like, oh, it must be Martinelli. But I thought it was going to be one of those nights for him. I thought it was going to be a little bit difficult to get into the game. Look, we'd seen a little while ago, it came out, and we'd seen Martinelli in training, and they had spoken about, you know, Martinelli is kind of being looked at as a centre forward option. And this is possibly why we haven't seen an awful lot of him. I know when he has played recently, he's got a little bit of time out on the wing, but maybe they are considering him long term as a centre forward option. And you can see tonight, he didn't have that understanding that Lacazette has, where he has to drop deep. And maybe this is what slightly hampered the progress. Maybe that's what they want from him long term, and they're not really seeing it. So they're kind of going, okay, look, we'll throw him in where we can out on the wing just to get him some time. But ideally, that's not where we want them. I guess if you're trying to retrain him for a certain position, you don't want to be starting him every game out wide, because then he's not going to be thinking as a centre forward. And if you keep playing him in that position, but you don't want him there long term, you're not really training him in the right way and developing him the right way. So if that is the case, I can kind of understand. And if that is the case long term, and that's kind of his understanding of that role, I can understand a little bit better now why maybe he's been a bit more reluctant to play him in that kind of a position. But look, at the same time, if you're going to learn the role, you've got to do your time in that position as well. So look, hopefully next season, if that's an option, we might see him there an awful lot more, because look, I really do rate Martinelli, and I think he offers a lot that a lot of our players don't. And I always look at Martinelli, and when I heard, potentially as a striker, I look at him as being sort of like a nice version of Luis Suarez. That kind of tenacity about him. I don't think he has that personality in him, or Suarez is just a dirty. I won't say the word, but he has that sort of that drive and that hunger, and he won't give you a second. So definitely a nice option if we can get him playing the way I guess Arteta wants him to play. But look, centre forward in this system, it's a tough job. It really is a tough job in this system that we play.
No, it is. And also, if we go back a few years, it took Thierry Henry probably 6 months to adapt to playing centre forward from a wide position before he finally got the hang of it and started scoring goals. So it would be, obviously Martinelli's younger than Thierry Henry was, less experienced. So we couldn't expect him to adapt to that position straight away. It's going to take a while. And if that's the long-term plan, then that'll be great. And if in 6 months' time or a year and a half, he's banging in 30 goals a season, I'm sure we'll all be happy that he was maybe held back or it was done at the right time. Maybe Arteta can get a lot of credit for that if it does happen, I suppose. But we'll see what happens. Just find out who would have been your man of the match tonight. There was a few half-decent performances for a change, actually, wasn't there?
Yeah, definitely going off the first half, I was going to say Saka. The second half, we kind of, as a team, we let up a lot. It was a hard one, because although we won 3-1, I wouldn't say it was an overly dominant performance. Like, despite the scoreline, I think the scoreline is a little bit deceiving. It is actually a tough one. I never even really thought to myself, who stood out, because Willian had a good game. Willian did have a decent game. Whether it was enough to warrant man of the match, I don't know. Look, I'd probably just for the first half alone, how good he was, I'd probably just give it to Saka, because the second half, I don't know who really stood out for us, because I was noticing a bit more West Brom in the second half, up till kind of the end of the game, But I give it to Saka for the first half, and the fact that he played out of position. I like Saka at left back. Don't get me wrong, I love him at right wing, but I do like him at left back, and I see what he offers, and I definitely think, unless we bring in another player at left back, I think he should definitely be our second option to Kieran Tierney if he's not available, because we should have enough options on the wing to be able to cover. Pepe should be well capable of playing on that right hand side if we need to use Bukayo Saka at left back. So I just hope that's the end of Granit Xhaka at left back, because we can't be going there again. So I'm going to go Bukayo Saka.
No, that's a fair shout. He had a good game. Certainly, like you said, the first half, it was outstanding, wasn't he? And then he maybe faded out of it a bit in the second half. But that's a fair shout. I don't think can't go far wrong with that. And just before you go, just give your channel a shout as well. Obviously, you've got a great channel going yourself over there.
Yeah. Look, I appreciate as always being able to come on. So it's always good to chat, especially after 3 points and relegating Sam Allardyce and a decent performance. But yeah, you can find me at the Republic of Arsenal is the channel. So yeah, come over and say hey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Make sure you check out Anthony's channel, Republic of Arsenal. Always a pleasure to have you on, mate. Definitely, and no doubt we will speak again very soon. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon. Take it easy.
See you later. Bye-bye.
So that was Anthony there with his thoughts on the game. Gave Bukayo Saka man of the match. I don't think we're going to have too many complaints with that. He had a decent game. And coming up on the other side of this, we've got our second guest of the evening. And of course, it's Melvin. We can't have a show on this channel without Melvin being involved at some stage, of course, as always. How you doing, Melvin? You all right?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. For yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Feeling a little bit happier at the moment than the other night, I guess. We've had a couple of comments in the chat actually while we've been going through. Tracy says, "Who would have been better, Super Jack or Abu Diaby? Both could have been great. They could have been. Yeah, real shame with the injuries that we've had there." Tracy again says, "Marginally up front for City or Liverpool, you'd get a bag for." Obviously, meaning Martinelli. I'm sure he would. You'd get a lot more service, that's for sure. And Mike Green there says, "Evening, yep, evening, Mike. Thanks for tuning in." So, Melvin, then, first of all, if we start maybe with the team lineup, what did you make? Obviously, we spoke the other night, didn't we, about the last 4 games and maybe playing players who are going to be there next season and some young players and this, that, and the other. What did you make of the team? Because there was a couple of players maybe included that we wouldn't have included in that kind of selection ourselves, would we? Ceballos.
Yeah, I thought it was very strange, as you say, Ceballos. Was Ryan injured? Is that why he wasn't even on the bench, the goalkeeper?
Apparently he was ill. I don't know whether that's true, but that's what the rumours are. He was ill.
He might have watched our last game. That's why.
Yeah.
As I say, Ceballos is. He scored a cracking goal, William, and that wasn't his worst game by a million miles. But I'm surprised he was picked. To be honest with you, another guy that might be off rumours. I just didn't like the lineup at all. I don't like Chambers at right back. He's just an okay centre half. Not good enough for our club at centre half, in my opinion. I know people might think that's a bit harsh, but I just don't think he's got it. And he's definitely not a right back. I know he played well against West Ham for that half, and it made him, Alberto Carlos or something, but he's not. But that I didn't like. Also, just basically, it was just a Pepe as well. I know he scored again a fabulous goal. Goal.
It was,
but where is that? Where is that confidence to go inside and let fly? Normally, when he hits a ball, his confidence goes and he hits it for the corner flag. One of those shots on the other night would have made so much difference to us. And he never got near it the other night. I just thought that I didn't like the lineup. I was very critical of the lineup. I was proved wrong with Willian scoring, proved wrong with Pepe scoring. But that was my honest opinion before the game. I did not like it. I thought he was trying to wind us up, the manager. I thought he said he's going to get his own back on us, and so he's going to pick this team.
Yeah, I must admit, I was a bit surprised when I saw it. Some of the players that were included, but I don't know. It was almost like, in a way, it was quite a safe lineup, wasn't it? He wasn't taking any risks. He was playing the players that's generally been playing. Yes, he made a few changes from the other night, obviously, a few injuries and stuff, but he was still playing the players like El Neni and Ceballos and Chambers and Rob Holding, who's captain again, which is another strange one. Obviously, Willian and Pepe, and these players that he's really trusted, and he went with them rather than experiment. These are the games to experiment, as we said the other night. These are the games to try different things for next season. It's no good playing the same safe football between now and the end of the season, because we're going to gain nothing out of doing that. We're just not going to, are we? So exactly. I was baffled by that completely. And in the end, we got the result. And I suppose he'll look at it and he's justifying his decisions because we won the game. And, that's all you can hope to do, I suppose. But, West Brom gave us some problems, though, didn't they, Melvin? Especially in the first half. I thought before we scored, they had a couple of chances. And then once they did score in the second half, they looked a better team for 10, 15 minutes, didn't they?
They looked far more dangerous than us. They moved the ball quick. And I said after 20-odd minutes, they fancy it. They really do fancy it. They showed us no respect, and they were correct not to. It's a bit like when supporters don't take the mickey out of Arsenal anymore because we're not a factor. It's a bit like West Brom. They don't care about us anymore. So let's go for it. And it's a bit sad, really, that we're at that situation. No, I mean, it just showed for that second, their first goal. Sorry. I mean, I didn't realise, as I said, I've made a tweet that before, I thought Messi was staying in Spain. I didn't realise Messi decided to come and play for West Brom. That geezer went through, like, you know, he must have been Messi. There was no other, a West Brom footballer wouldn't do that, would they? So it must have been Messi scoring that goal. He ran unchallenged 50 yards with the ball. Absolute disgraceful. And if you're telling me our defence is better, that defence, I know we play different defences, we chop and change every 5 minutes.
Yeah, we do,
But we are better defensively and midfield-wise. If we let a guy run through our defence like that, unchallenged, it's poor, I'm sorry. Absolutely disgraceful. And like you say, when it went 2-1, not that I was worried because it didn't mean anything. It looked like they could have got another goal. They had a couple of heading chances, I remember, that they should have done better with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they should have.
And once it dropped in the box, the geezer skied it. He should have done better as well, get his knee over the ball. But had they made it 2-2, would you have been shocked? No. And just to go back to the point of the players you've mentioned, the Pepes of this world, Williams and all that, those 6 odd players that you mentioned, Richard, I do not want to see them next year. Do you think we'll be a better team next year if they are playing in the first team? Because I definitely don't. No. So, you know, we spoke about this the other night. This is a perfect time to try things. We're not going to get relegated. We're not going to win anything. Let's try things. I'm not saying go gung-ho. I'm just saying tweak a few things. Put a couple of players in that you don't perhaps normally would play in an important league game. I mean, even on the bench, we had the Aubameyang and Lacazette on the bench, right? Yeah. Why we needed both, I don't know.
And Nketiah.
And if you do need another centre forward, I'm not seeing him play for the first team, only in Europe. Balogun. Is it wrong to give him 10 minutes? Just 10 minutes, you know? Aziz, in a game like this, under no pressure, bring him on for 10 minutes, let him have a few touches, let him get the old oxygen in his lungs and see what it's all about. Because it's different at this level. Even, you know, with all no disrespect to West Brom, they're still a Premier Division club, or they were when they kicked off. And there's no, you know, give that kid a chance to play against a Premier League club where it is totally different to Championship and reserve football that he's been playing. No. Why not experiment? I don't say tear up all your plans and throw them up in the air, but just have a bit of, just tweak a couple of things. Make use out of these games.
Do you not
think 4 games, Richard, all end of the season games now?
No, exactly. But do you not think maybe there's a little bit of pressure on him because of this Europa Conference League, and you know, maybe the club have said to him, look, try to get into that in these last 4 games because maybe finishing 7th might be enough to get in there, and we're not that far off 7th now. And are they thinking? So has he got a bit of pressure, thinking I've still got to play what he considers a strong team to win the game? I mean, we don't consider it a strong team because we.
Sorry, what league's this?
That Europa Conference, that new Europa Conference League for next season. The sort of.
I haven't read a lot about that, to be honest with you. I saw a headline, I didn't bother to read about it. What is it? A second division Europa League?
Well, yeah, I suppose that's one way of looking at it, I guess. But it's still European football, and it is still going to generate money into the club. So maybe they're looking at it thinking, you know what, we're not going to be in either of the 2 competitions that we wanted to be in, but suddenly this is an option. Now, I don't know whether or not, you know, he's been told during the week, don't mess around with these 4 games. You want to try and win them all and try and get into that new European competition, or whether he just doesn't want to take any risks himself. I don't know. I mean, that could be a factor in it, though, to be fair, because, you know, I'm not saying that we should be in that competition necessarily, and it sounds like a complete waste of time. But having said that, if there's money involved and it's going to generate money for the club, extra money for European TV and all that kind of stuff, maybe we might be better off being in it than not being in it from a financial point of view, perhaps. And maybe that's what's been said. And maybe Arteta is going to go with a safe team for the last 3 games now as well and try to get the results and finish maybe 7th in the league, which could be enough. I'm not sure if we will do it, but maybe that's a factor that's all I say today.
Do you think it's worth, you say money's involved. I don't think it'd be too much money involved. Is it worth us playing 3 games a week? Is it really? I think we're better off a year outside Europe, even if it is a few bob, and it's not going to be a fortune, Richard. I think we've got to take our squad down. We've got to take the numbers down.
I I don't know what the financial kind of reward is for being in that competition, really. I don't know what it works out to. It's certainly not going to be anywhere near what it would have been in the Champions League or the Europa League, is it? I don't think that's clear. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it could be a total waste of time. And we've had a few comments in. Scott from the Red Cannon says, thanks for coming on, Rich. I was on his channel for the watch along and really enjoyed that. It was a good chat that we had. And he says, like and sub to this awesome channel. Yes, please, if you haven't done so already. And Terry says, good evening to the mighty Melvin. Of course, the mighty Melvin, as always. Good to have Melvin on. And Paul from the Tomb Review says, great show as always. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Paul. Thanks for being on the other show earlier as well. That was good to see you on there as well. And Lewis, of course, the Everton fan. Hello, how you doing, Lewis? Thanks for watching. And Russ as well was in the chat as well. How you doing, Russ? Good to see you in as well. So, I mean, obviously, in the end, I suppose we did. I thought, I was just saying to Anthony before, tonight, when we attacked, certainly in the first half, we seem to move the ball forward a lot quicker than we have done recently. Not so much sideways and backwards passing. It was more direct. And Saka showed, didn't he, playing left back, that he's still a threat going forward. And why wasn't he maybe tried there in the European games when we needed a goal? Why not push him? Because he still can get forward and get great balls, and he set up the first goal as well. Do you think that maybe, look, I know it's easy with hindsight, maybe look at it and say we should have played there, but was that a missed opportunity now looking at that? You know, he has played there before and done well as well. It's not like this was a shock.
No. I don't think that Arteta would have played him there from the get-go, because he would not have wanted to see Saka playing up the other end of the pitch, playing left back. All we did, we were so non-aggressive first half. We were passive, and I think that comes from the manager. Yeah, I don't think he would have wanted Saka, and he is great, Saka. I love him. I don't think he would have, even if Saka played left back, he'd have said, you stay there. I don't want to see you cross the halfway line first half. So I don't think it would have made a lot of difference, to be honest with you, Richard. You know, in my mind is telling me that we were so passive that first half. You know, when he goes forward, Saka, I mean, I remember when him, there's Tierney that can do it. Those two, when they cross the ball, some of the times, some of their crosses are fantastic. And I heard you speaking about Martinelli earlier, very quiet game. He was on the peripheral of the game. He never really got involved in the game, in my opinion.
No, he didn't. No.
But if you keep hitting these balls into the box, especially when we break quickly and the defenders are on the back foot, there can be very few attackers better than Martinelli to get on the end of it. His runs are great. His movement's great. His timing's great. I'd say something about Martinelli. Since he's played the last few games and he's had a chance to shoot, especially outside the box, he keeps missing it. I don't know if you've noticed that. He hasn't got one on target, I think. He's had a couple of blocked ones, fair enough. But sometimes he's over the bar, he's past the post. I think he's lost a little bit of confidence. I really do. And that, I think, being out the team for so long and not being picked where perhaps he should have been picked hasn't done him any favours.
No, and I think maybe with young players that can be the case, can't it? You know, when you're playing well, everything goes well, and then maybe when you're left out of the team, you do lose a bit of confidence, and that may be what's happened. Yeah, I agree. He was on the periphery of it tonight. He didn't really get into it at all, did he? And maybe when he did get the ball, like you said, maybe a couple of shots he tried, maybe he was trying too hard because he was desperate to make an impact and desperate to get a goal, which you can understand. And maybe that didn't help his finishing, perhaps. But I agree. If we keep playing the way that we did in that first half, get the ball into the box, he is going to score goals eventually, isn't he? He will do, because his movement in the box is good and he can finish when he's got the opportunity. So I'm not particularly worried about that. And as I said to Anthony before, it took Thierry Henry 6 months to become a central striker, and Martinelli's been playing more on the left, hasn't he? And now looks like he's going to play more through the centre when he does play, perhaps going forward. And it might take him a while to adapt to that. But we've got to persevere with him because we know how talented he is and what he can offer. I mean, I thought that game tonight kind of summed up our season in a lot of ways. You know, at times we looked good. We made some good passing movements. We attacked at pace, scored some good goals, actually. As you said, Pepe got a great goal and Willian's free kick was good. But also as well, in between all of that, we also were very poor as well at times, wasn't we? And we made West Brom look a decent team for spells in that game, didn't we? And it could easily have been 2-2, as we said. And that kind of sums up where we are, doesn't it? And sums up the season for me. That's what can't be consistent enough in our performances, even throughout one game. You know, a game against a team that are virtually on the verge of going down.
we actually play sometimes, Richard. It's a game of 4 halves with us. Some certain games, aren't they?
Yeah,
We play
yeah.
20 minutes, then 20 minutes poor, then we take it up again. Listen, I find it very difficult when we play. When we take it down a notch, we find it so difficult to get going again. So when we take it down a notch, hopefully we like tonight we were 2-0 up, gave us a bit of breathing space. Though they got one back and could have had another one. But it's something is wrong. It seems like all their shoulders drop at the same time. There's nothing you don't think. I mean, no one's vocal out there. No one's shaking a fist. Come on, let's come and wake up. Let's get this going again, boys. There's nothing like that, and that shows in their performance.
It does, yeah, and it is a mentality thing, isn't it? Clearly, and it's been a mentality. I mean, and this is strange because it's been a mentality thing for a number of years, and yet it's a completely different group of players, and they still seem to have the same mentality. We've had 3 different coaches in the last 4 years. We've had a complete round of players. I mean, yeah, there's 1 or 2 are still the same. Although today, actually, looking at that starting lineup today, Xhaka was out injured. Bellerin didn't play. These are the players that were from the Wenger kind of reign. Yeah, Chambers and Holding were both played under Wenger, but not that much really. The rest of them have pretty much all come into the team since, so that they should have a different mentality, but they don't seem to have, do they? And that kind of maybe is quite significant, really, because it's different coaches as well. I don't know what's going on there. Tracy just says there, yeah, Melvin the legend. I think Martinelli snatching at chances is better than not getting chances. He's a baller with the mentality we want. No, he is. Exactly. He has got the mentality that we're talking about that others seem to be lacking, actually. And he's not unfortunately played enough this season, has he, so far? And Terry says, what a great goal Martinelli scored against Chelsea. So we know he can do it. Yeah, of course we know he can do it. And he's not really had the opportunities yet this season, certainly. And hopefully he will next season, and he can push on and become the player that we all know he can be. And I think if he's going to play at centre forward, which he has played before, let's hope that he's given the chances. You know, he's given 10 games maybe at centre forward to really learn the position at the top level and adapt. Because it's not that if he's in and out of the team, he's never going to learn it, is he? He's got to be given the opportunity. But is he going to get 10 games in the Premier League next season as centre forward when there's a Aubameyang? We may have Lacazette still there, or Balogun as well. Of course, he's going to no doubt feature a bit more next season. Is Martinelli going to get those opportunities? I personally think he might be better sticking to the left-hand side. I think he's good on the left-hand side. He can go past a man. He's direct. He gets balls in the box, and he still scored goals from that position. Not last season, the season before. No, it was last season, wasn't it? Yeah, when he first joined. So maybe that might be where his future is. I don't know. Arteta doesn't seem to know what to do with him, but then Arteta doesn't seem to know what to do with half the team, does he? What their best positions are?
No, that's true. I'll tell you something. Somebody mentioned the Chelsea goal he got, which was fantastic. But I remember him playing in Europe and playing in the League Cup when he played centre forward, and he scored some fabulous goals where Tierney was crossing the ball, Saka was crossing. He was getting on the end of these crosses, and he was doing it, flicking it with his head, not just heading it down, and he was side footing it. He was taking the ball down in the box, moving the ball across, hitting it in the far post. I mean, he could be a very, very good striker. Right, perhaps he's not a centre forward, but a striker, if that makes sense. I wouldn't. I mean, listen, if he's not going to get any games at centre forward, which is a shame. Yes, I'd love to see him play on the left wide because I don't want him sitting on the bench. I don't want him playing for the reserves. I want him playing. He's good enough and he's to play for the first team, and he'll learn and he'll get better as time goes on. But as I say, if he can't play centre forward, I like to see him striker just behind say Lacazette. I'm not sure he should be here next year, but if he is, I wouldn't mind seeing Martinelli play just off of him because he can pick up the loose scraps, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there actually about those goals he scored, in the League Cup and stuff last season, at the beginning of last season, actually when Unai Emery was still the coach. Where's that Martinelli gone? Because he doesn't look the same player actually now, does he? And he's another one that looks as though he's gone backwards under Arteta, and maybe that's just a coincidence. I don't know, but he was aggressive. He was confident. He was getting into those areas. He was getting on the end of things, like you said. He was pushing defenders out of the way. Big defenders, experienced defenders, and and obviously Terry mentioned that goal against Chelsea. Yes, I know that was under Arteta, but where's that Martinelli? Because today we didn't see that Martinelli, did we, at all?
No.
We didn't see him. And we were getting balls into the box in the first half. We got some good balls into the box, actually, today, didn't we? The first goal in particular, and a couple of other times Saka got clear and put some good balls in. And that Martinelli from last season, he wasn't there today. And I know he's not been playing as regular, but he first came into the team, he hadn't played regular, and yet he looked a superstar, didn't he? And then, I know he's had an injury and stuff like that, but I don't know. Something's missing from his game that we used to see. And I want to see that Martinelli again, because that's the Martinelli that we got excited about. It's almost as though I get the feeling that a lot of Arsenal fans have forgotten about that, forgotten how great he was. But at the very beginning, when he first broke into the team, he was fantastic. I mean, I remember him coming on in one game, or was it his first game he started in the League Cup? I think it was Nottingham Forest. And he scored a couple of goals. He looked at me and thought, wow, this kid is something else.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he did it again in the next round, and the next round again he did it in the Europa League, and you're thinking he's different. He's different class, this lad. And you're thinking, he looked. And I know it seems silly now, maybe, but you were saying at his age he's probably better than Ronaldo was at that age. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo. And then where's that Martinelli gone? It is there. We know it's still there somewhere because we saw it. But I'm a bit concerned about that. I must admit, another attacking player that seems to have regressed under the current coach, unfortunately. I wanted to touch on Emil Smith-Rowe, actually, because I thought he played well today. Got his first Premier League goal, didn't he? Playing in that number 10 position while Odegaard was on the bench. And it was mentioned earlier in the chat about us buying Odegaard or whether we shouldn't buy him now, bearing in mind Smith-Rowe can play that position really well, as he did today. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Melvin? Do you think that we should try to get Odegaard, or do you think maybe look to strengthen in other areas of the team, maybe further back in midfield? That seems to be where the problem is.
I'm convinced we should not buy Odegaard. Convinced. I think we'll have to spend a lot of money because we've cleverly hyped him up ourselves, saying how great he is. So Real Madrid will probably want 50. They're talking about £50 million. The geezer's not proved anything yet. I'm sorry. All due respect. He's been missing the last few games that he's played. And for me, I'm going to double up here because you normally ask man of the match. For me, I was going to get it to Smith-Rowe anyway. I think he's fabulous. Right. I think he brings the midfield, defence, and the forwards all together. He gels the whole team, and it's no coincidence that when he came into the team, our fortunes changed. It's no coincidence that when he came off today, we lost a little bit more of our mojo. It's no coincidence that we weren't making those chances. I mean, I think he is, and Martinelli, as you say. He was amazing last season, Martinelli. I think as far as levels go, I think Smith-Rowe's above him at the moment. Definitely above. I never thought I'd say that. But Smith-Rowe has been a breath of fresh air. If we had the type of player, the skill, the determination, the will, the speed, the thoughts. He's two moves ahead of any other player in the team. When he gets that ball, he knows he's got three options. He can see a picture in his mind of what he wants to do with the ball. He doesn't you very rarely see him stand there and going, right, oh, well, now what? He knows, bang, 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 he's on it. And I think that, I'd love to have 10 of those on the pitch, with those attributes, because that's what we need. He's got heart. I mean, Saka's terrific. Martinelli can be terrific. He's lowered it a little bit for reasons we've just discussed. But for me, Smith-Rowe is the old ticks every box. He just gets on with it. He does a lot of hard work. He can dribble. Now, if you're talking about the two players, the difference between Odegaard and Smith-Rowe, obviously, where we've got the advantage, Smith-Rowe's got the advantage, he ain't going to cost us anything. All right, that's number one. Number two, he's purely Arsenal. Smith-Rowe, right? That's number two. Number three, Odegaard, very rarely, and he's got nice touch, don't get me wrong, lovely touch. Don't go past players. He doesn't drive past players. He moves himself in a position where he can give a lovely ball, but he doesn't actually travel with the ball that much. He's not as mobile as Smith-Rowe. I just, if you're saying one or the other, to me, it's no contest. Smith-Rowe every day of the week, and we need to strengthen up in other positions. And if it means not getting Odegaard and buying a class right back, for example, and another position that we might need, a midfielder, holding midfielder. Instead of spending approximately 50 million on that, perhaps we spend 25 million on a midfielder, defensive midfielder, and a terrific right back. That to me is a no-brainer. And if I get the phone from Arsenal, that is what I will be doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't see any argument against that Odegaard there. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Mesut Ozil, actually, because he didn't really go past players with the ball very often, did he? And he got himself into the position where he could ping a pass. And that's almost what Odegaard does. He's almost like a younger version of Mesut Ozil, isn't he? Whereas Emil Smith-Rowe, as you rightly say, he's got all that, but a lot more, because he can run with the ball and he's a lot more direct. And you're saying he's got three options every time he's got the ball. He's thinking of three options, and he is. Unfortunately, today, two of them are Pepe and Willian, which doesn't really help. Yeah, at least he's got the ideas in his head, which is a start, I suppose. It's not his fault, the players he's got around him, is it, I guess? But anyway, and Terry actually says there about Martinelli, do you think he's not getting in the box because he doesn't think we're going to get the ball to him? Yeah, maybe. But I think Shane's got a good point there. He says last season he received the ball in the box. Today he came very deep just to get involved. And that's true as well, yeah. We're playing a different style now, aren't we? When he first came in under Emery, we were playing a different system. And now we're playing this way where the centre forward has to drop deeper, as Lacazette quite well. Aubameyang doesn't do it quite so well, and maybe that's not Martinelli's game, so maybe that might be why. And Paul in the chat there, he says, well said, ESR, the closest to a Brady style player we've had at the club. Yeah, I would say probably since Jack Wilshere, I would say, actually, you know, we did compare them a little bit before, actually, as well. That was a comment that Terry was talking to Shane about the text they got before. But yeah, so, I mean, yeah, Smith-Rowe, yeah, again, he's a good shout for man of the match. I thought it was probably between him and Saka. I thought they were the two that stood out. Yeah, Pepe's goal was great, of course, but he didn't really do much else in the game, did he? Not particularly that great. Willian, again, had a decent enough game and scored a good goal. But yeah, I think those two were the best two on the night. And either of those two would be a good shout for man of the match. But you can't really argue with obviously giving it to Smith-Rowe either, because he was good. And as you said, when he went off, we didn't look the same, did we? We struggled after that, again, as we have done when he's not played in other games. So yeah, I agree. I think maybe Odegaard, when he first came into the team, and thought he gave us something different that maybe we'd been lacking, but as time's gone on, he's become less and less effective in games, hasn't he? To the fact that you see he's kind of almost moved Smith-Rowe over to the left at some points, didn't he, Arteta, to accommodate Odegaard? And we didn't get the best out of Smith-Rowe, particularly in that position. But you could see tonight, and in other games as well, Smith-Rowe in the number 10, that's his best position. He's a natural there. And obviously, he's probably a better option than Odegaard's going to be in that position, isn't he? So maybe that's hopefully where the future will be. And maybe we can, like you said, spend the money elsewhere where we need. We need a left-back as well, probably. I mean, what did he make of Saka playing left-back tonight? He played well, didn't he?
He played very well. He was getting forward very quickly, and he was actually, they never picked him up. He was finding a lot of space for himself on that left, really high up, and he made good use out of it. A couple of times he was a bit unlucky with crosses, but it's, you know, you see when you watch it on television, you see the ball swing to the left. Think, why is that going? All of a sudden you see Saka there, think, oh, good, brilliant, we've got a chance here of doing something. And no, he finds that space. He's a very intelligent footballer, Saka, very intelligent. And that's why he can possibly play in lots of other positions. You know, I always like him playing up front on the right because he gives us something extra. But playing at left back, he doesn't let us down at all, and he can get forward just as well as Tierney does. So yeah, very good tonight. Love to see it.
No,
yeah, great.
He was, yeah, he was good. And I was saying in the watch along earlier on Scott's channel that we need to build the team around Saka and Smith-Rowe, don't we? We need they're the two players, and maybe Martinelli to a certain degree as well. We need to build a team around them kind of players. You know, we need to, you know, it's not worth looking at players like Willian who are in their 30s coming to the end of their career. You know, you need to build a young, vibrant team around those two exceptional talents that we're fortunate to have that have come through our academy system. And we're really lucky to have players like that. And you could see the other night on Thursday when we lost, how that must have affected Smith-Rowe. He was the last one off the pitch. He was so disappointed. I'm too good for this team. You know, you wouldn't be surprised if that was going through his head. I deserve a better team around me. You know, and Saka maybe thinks that as well. I know that they're young lads and that they shouldn't really be thinking like that. I'm not saying that they were, but you can understand if they were, because they've been our best two players this season, haven't they? They've had the biggest impact. And we would have, God knows where we would have been without those two in the team. We would have, you know, been in a real mess. We're in enough of a mess as it is. So, yeah, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for them, actually, because they do deserve better players around them. Let's hope that we can start to build the team around their talents and get a team of, a bit more energy, more youthful and more energetic. That's what we need. And you could see that tonight. At times when it worked, we looked pretty decent. And we have done at times this season. But equally, we've got too many, too much deadwood still in that team tonight and in the squad in general. And unfortunately, it's going to take a long time to change all that, isn't it? I'm afraid it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long process, and whether that process is Arteta's part of that long-term process or not, things need to change, and we need to rebuild. And maybe this season, actually, without European football, without this new European competition, maybe this is a good opportunity for the club to actually say, let's draw a line and start afresh and build a team around these great young players that we've got. One or two other decent players. Thomas Partey is going to become good, I'm sure. And players like that, Gabriel, good defender as well, and building a team around those sort of players and building around them and getting players in the club that have that attitude, that will to win attitude that Martinelli has and that other people maybe don't. And that's the only way we're gonna really push on and improve, aren't we? And get back to where we want to be, which is challenging again, for the big honours as well. Ryan's in the chat as well. How you doing, Ryan? Good evening. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed the game. But yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you for your man of the match, but obviously you've already said who your man of the match was now, which is good. And I think we can all can't argue with that as an option, really. I mean, obviously we've got 3 games left now. Chelsea on Wednesday, and then Crystal Palace and Brighton. What are you expecting from those 3 games now? Do you think we can go on and win them all, or do you think it's just going to be a case of probably one decent performance and a couple of poor performances and one average performance if we're going to sum up the season?
I haven't given it much thought, to be honest with you. Normally, every game we play beforehand, I'm thinking this, that, we're going to do that. We could do this next 2 or 3 games. It's sapped the energy out of me, Richard, to be honest with you. When we play on Wednesday, I'll start thinking about it Wednesday afternoon and seeing, it's really, I'm thinking about it all the time. Now, next game, oh, cool, bloody hell, what's happening? Can we do this? Can we do that? Yeah. No, it just sapped all the energy out of me, and I'm not going to let it continue for too long. So I'll be at work Wednesday, and then when that stops a little bit, I'll have a think about the game. And, I mean, we're playing against a very good Chelsea team that weren't very good a couple of months ago. So that's interesting in itself.
This is very interesting.
I just can't take this too seriously now. I just can't. I'm just going to go with the flow now. I'll just go with the flow, watch the games, try and enjoy them if I can, try and take as many positives out of it as I can, and see what the summer brings, not only with who we buy, but very importantly, who we sell. And if we're not in Europe, which I prefer next year, we don't have to have 30 in our squad. We get that down to, say, 15, 20 in our squad, or make it down to 15. It ain't going to happen. Get it down to 15 and then buy 5 more or 3 or 4 more. Have a 20-man squad should be enough just to play in the League Cup and FA Cup, So, and also, I don't want us to continue keeping players, and I'm not going to single them out. I think I'm talking about half a dozen players. I don't want us to keep them on the books on the basis to stifle some good youngsters that might be coming through. I'd like us to really say clear the decks and let the youngsters, all right, they might be 19, 20, 21, but the old adage, if you're good enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And even if they're not good now, even if we see these guys, give them a little bit of a chance. They go, you know what, he's good, but he's not ready. Great, stick him back in the reserves, coach him up a bit more, give him a bit more, let him grow in certain respects in their physique or their knowledge or know-how. Might have to put them out on loan for a year or so, like Willock, but do that, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 very good Arsenal players that haven't cost you anything on a transfer fee, but you know what you're getting. You're not taking a chance because you know about these players. And I don't want us to stifle the centre halves. We've got 2 centre halves out on loan, youngsters I'm talking about. I don't want to see us keep all the centre halves we've got now. We've got to get rid of 3, in my opinion, of the current centre halves on the books. You might bring the guy back from Germany. I definitely want to see us give a chance to the guy from Saliba from France. So that's another 2. And then blooding, there's 2 youngsters we got, haven't we? And McGuinness, is it? McGuinness,
yeah.
I'd like to see him blooded. Not obviously league, first game of the season. But League Cup, perhaps put Gabriel or an experienced-ish centre half next to him, give him a run out for half a game, and just see what he's made of. Right, give him the confidence to wear that red shirt for the first team, and build our team like that. Because I'm fed up with us spending lots of money on players that we don't know anything about. I mean, with all due respect, did we know anything about Xhaka? Did you know anything about Mustafi? We paid top dollar for these guys. I'm fed up with that. You know, Partey, yeah, he's going to be a terrific player. He's paid top dollar for him. We paid top dollar for Lacazette. We paid top dollar for Aubameyang. And Aubameyang has been a success up to a point. Lacazette quite hasn't got, in my opinion, got over the line with us. Yes, he's good. Some games have been very good. Other games have been, for a long time, been very disappointing. And I think when you pay 50 million quid on, I think Lacazette, 3-4 years ago, and that was a lot of money. It's a lot of money now, Richard. It was a hell of a lot of money then. Yeah. I'm fed up with that. I'd rather bring someone through the youth team who you know what he can do. I'd rather spend 20 million quid on a championship player you watch, you study, again, bring them through. Don't stick them in a first team, perhaps the first year, and do it that way, because that was the way we used to do it. You know, we cannot spend 50 million quid on every position if we think we're short, because we ain't Man City, we ain't Chelsea, we ain't Man United, and it's not the way. We can't compete that way. So let's use our heads a bit better. And we're probably paying people good money at Arsenal to scout these guys and get the right guys on board. We're paying them very good money. Let them do their job and not be lazy and just go for the big money signings.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we need a rethink on the way that the club do the transfer dealings and how we do it, because it clearly not worked in the last few years, has it? We've wasted money on some very, very poor players that haven't worked out, and we need to reassess that, especially if we aren't in Europe at all next season. We don't have that extra money coming in. Trim the squad, as you said. Yeah, great idea. That is, get some more young players into the squad and buy 2 or 3 players that's going to improve the positions that we need. And I think that's the way to go. And hopefully that's what they'll do. But knowing the way that the club's been run, that probably won't be what we'll do.
No, it won't happen. It won't happen.
And we'll go exactly down the wrong path as we have done for the last few years. Terry says, what about bringing in Aziz from Palace? Yeah, he'd be a good signing, wouldn't he? Good young player, Arsenal fan as well. So he'd be a good guy.
He played for the Arsenal, didn't he? Wasn't he on our books?
I think as a youth player he was, yeah. And he's an Arsenal fan, I believe, as well. So as is Wilfried Zaha, of course. So that ship sailed. But yeah, Eze could be good. He could be a good signing, young player, a lot of potential. I'm not sure where he'd fit in our team necessarily, but maybe ahead of Pepe. Maybe ahead of Pepe, perhaps. But Pepe's maybe had his chance 2 seasons.
No, I think the right back and defensive midfielder will change our team to a greater degree than any other position.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, Basuma's one on my radar. I know the club have been looking at him. Definitely, I think he'd be a big signing if we could get him over the line. But we'll see what happens in the summer. We can't do anything about it now. But at least we have finally won at home anyway, after about six games, wasn't it, without a win at home. So we finally got a victory at home, which is always nice, I suppose, even though no one was there to see it, of course. Shane's put a comment chat there. I'm excited to see what we do in the summer. Well, we're all, I wouldn't say excited is the right word. We're kind of I suppose anxious to see what's going to happen, actually. 75 million from Jones and 75 million from player sales. Would like to see experienced Premier League players. I'd like to see players that's played in the Premier League. Yeah, exactly. I think Basuma would be a good shout. Players like that, rather than just looking at the foreign market where it's hit or miss, isn't it? You don't know if they're going to settle or not. So, yeah, I'd like to see that as well, but we'll see. And let's just hope that the club do the right thing in the summer, get the right players in the right positions at the right price, and also allow some of our great youth players that we've got to step up and be given an opportunity like they were back in the 1980s under George Graham, and even Don Howe before him actually gave a lot of them opportunities. So that's what we maybe need to happen as well. And
the double year. What about the first double year, Richard, that we did last week?
Well, yeah, exactly. A lot of those young players came through. I know the football is different then, and you have to bear that in mind. But there's no reason why we can't. We've got 2 great young players who have become important players in the team this season. There's no reason why another 2 or 3 next season can't have a similar impact if they're given a chance. So yeah, I'd like to see that happen. I'm sure we all would. But but I don't know if we will or not, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, Melvin. Always a pleasure, as always. Just to give people a reminder of where they can find you. I know most people in the chat probably know where you are anyway, but just in case there's one or two watching that don't.
Well, you've tried to ban me from this position for a long time now. I've on this one. Love it being on here, Richard, on this channel, and also on Ryan's channel, which is brilliant, and also Andrew's channel from Dull Square to Where, Mr. Arsenal 89.
Yeah.
So I'm on those 3 channels and a little bit on Twitter when I'm in the mood, as they say. But thanks again for having me on, and I'll speak to you shortly.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for coming on, and we will speak soon. Take it easy, Melvin.
Cheers. All the best. Bye.
See ya. Bye. So that was Melvin there. So joining the channel along with Anthony as well earlier from the Republic of Arsenal. Please check out his channel as well. Thanks to all you guys for watching as well in the chat. Terry as always, and Shane. Obviously Ryan was in earlier as well. Paul, great to have you on board as well again. Russ, Lewis, obviously Paul from the Toon Review, another great channel that is as well. Scott from the Red Cannon, another great channel. Please check him out. I was on the watch along there earlier. That was a great show, great evening we had. Mike as well, of course, resident Man United fan. Good to have him in the chat as well. As always, Dapper Guna as well. Thanks for joining us. Tracy as well, and Jonathan. And everybody else that's been watching. If you haven't done so, just before you go, please give it a like as well. I think we're on 10 actually, which is pretty good. I'm tough with that. So thanks to everyone for that. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please click on the subscribe as well. We've hit 450 actually, which is great. It took a while to get this 50 actually since 400, but it's I finally got it. So I really appreciate everybody that subscribes. So I just need another 50 to get to 500, which is my next target. That'd be good if we can maybe try and do that before the end of the season. A few weeks left. I will be covering the women as well in the FA Cup. I did a watch along of them today. If you missed that, check that out later if you can as well. And some great shows that we did this week on the 71 double team as well. They're still available on the channel to watch. 2 on my channel and 1 on the Mr. Arsenal podcast as well. Some great guests, great memories of the 71 team. So if you do enjoy a bit of history and you want to remember some great times that Arsenal have had, and we have had lots of great times. That's one particular year that was really good. Some great memories of that. And going forward through the summer in particular, I will be doing a lot more stuff on the history of the club, some great moments from the past, some great seasons that we've all enjoyed and stuff like that. So definitely stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for all that kind of stuff. And Terry in the chat says, great show, Richard. Good night to everybody. That was the same to you, Terry. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for watching, as I say. And in the meantime, of course, I will be, I'll probably do I'm not so sure about doing the pre-recorded videos. I might stick one on tomorrow, a review of this game. And then, of course, we'll be looking ahead to the Wednesday game against Chelsea. I'll try and get a live show. I'll try and get a Chelsea fan on. Didn't quite happen last time when we played them, but I'll see if I can get one on maybe Tuesday night and do a show for that game as well. And then I will do a watch along on Wednesday on this channel. I think I'm back in the mood again now, so I'm feeling a bit happy because we won. No, but I think I'll do one anyway. So yeah, join me for that as well. Loads of stuff coming up on the channel, so please subscribe, like, and share. Shane says there, great fan cam as always. Thanks for watching, Shane. Always a pleasure. He says bye. Come on, you Gooners, a night like that. Yeah, exactly. Come on, you Gooners. I will always finish the same way, don't we? So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support of the channel. So please give it a like before you go. And please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. Loads of great stuff coming up. Good win tonight. Arsenal 3, West Brom 1. And good performances from some of the young lads, Saka and Smith Rowe in particular. 3 points. We're up to 8th. Is it 8th or 9th in the league? Wow, we're actually in the top half of the table. Brilliant. What a great season it's been. And 3 more games left as well to enjoy. So stay tuned for all the great fun we're going to have between now and the end of the season. And the Arsenal women as well. Come on, you Gunners. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Take it easy. Have a good evening.